Hey everybody, this is Liam Martin back with another video on how to build a remote SEO team. I know that I'm not with my buddy Greg right now. However, I am actually the Liam of 3 months into the future from the videos that you saw previously. And basically I didn't get this video put together in time, so I'm putting it together right now. So this video specifically is going to be the SEO operational process guide that we give to brand new linkers or researchers that actually end up coming in and working with us at Time Doctor and Running Remote and Staff.com and all the other companies that we run. And we thought that this would be a really good document for me to review, to give you a lot of the information for how we basically train people and all of our process guides. So this is a perfect example of some of those initial procedural documents that people need to learn and work on before they can work with us long term. So this is going to be a general overview. This document that you're probably going to get, which you'll probably be able to see down in the section below, is probably not going to actually be the same document, simply because I think there's some information here that's quite proprietary, which I'm probably just going to kind of touch on here, but we don't want to distribute this process guide to everybody because it's kind of a little bit of our secret sauce, but I digress. We're going to go through it and it's going to be 95% the same. So basically you're given this document on day one after you end up working with us, getting past a short list, and you're a candidate that actually wants to work with us long term. I also have coffee, which I'm going to have a drink of right now. Oh, you can't start a video like this without coffee. Okay, so basically it's introduction. What is this handbook actually going to focus on? And that's content marketing for SEO, for increasing traffic, driving signups, building authority, and promoting brand awareness. And that's actually in that order. So what the SEO team is primarily responsible for is increasing traffic to the website. That's the variable that they can really control. Drive signups from organic growth is something that's a lot more difficult. It's one place removed from that. That would be the optimization team, as an example, that needs to take the traffic that the marketing team is developing and then actually turn that into converting customers. So it's in that order, but they all have to understand all of those variables in our goals, so that everyone knows, yeah, okay, well, we're not just developing traffic, we're also developing authority and brand awareness, as an example. So we can't just go after porn traffic, as an example, because that wouldn't necessarily get us any customers or build authority or promote our brand to the right people. Now we have two blogs. We have Biz 3.0 and we have a Time Doctor blog. Time Doctor blog is more focused on product updates, and Biz 3.0 blog is more focused on basically a blog that you would want to read, versus Time Doctor blog is pretty much just product updates and just simply a blog for SEO, purely SEO. So we'll do a lot of guest posts, as an example, on the Time Doctor blog, but we wouldn't do guest posts on Biz 3.0 because we send a lot of our email traffic to Biz 3.0 on a regular basis. Then we do basically a breakdown of what the Time Doctor blog is, and then the guidelines, which is really important. So original content has to be 3,000 words long. Long form content is more engaging than short form content. Also, just for time on site, 3,000 words is the minimum that we use. We've now actually implemented, by the way, YouTube videos like this one inside of our content, which also extends watch time, which is really important. And from our testing, it looks like we should probably put YouTube videos on every single one of our blog posts. But it is, I digress. It's basically just build the best content on the internet. If you're going to accept a guest post, you need to be at minimum 3,000 words, and it needs to be something that realistically the value of just the backlink isn't enough. So for anyone that's going to be writing a guest post for us, just getting the backlink, it's probably not worth it for you. If you're just focused on getting the backlink, it's more the brand awareness for getting distributed out to the rest of our community. So principles, basically we have topic clusters. And if you want more information, go to the HubSpot link on the concept of topic clusters. But what happens now is when we launch an article on outsourcing or employee monitoring or virtual assistants, we automatically get a bias from Google because Google already knows that we actually do a whole bunch of those posts previously. So we're kind of seen as a sub-authority inside of that industry, which is quite useful, obviously, if that's where you're getting your customers from. So content structure. So this is how we basically structure our content. It needs to be comprehensive, meaning basically the content that you're writing literally has to be the A to Z. So you can't skip steps. We always talk about getting the complete story, making sure that if you just had that blog post, you could do absolutely everything, outlining the task that we had outlined in that blog post. Like, let's say as an example, doing YouTube marketing. If we're going to write a blog post about YouTube marketing, then that blog post should have everything that you possibly need to do to be able to do YouTube marketing. If it doesn't, it's really not comprehensive content. Also, sticky content. So we have another concept, which is content should be more valuable 5 years after you write it than right at this moment. So what I mean by that is like evergreen content. So we would never write anything about new changes to some short-term platform as an example, because that's just a short-term opportunity, and what we're looking for is long-term traffic opportunities, approaching evergreen content that has significant keywords behind it, and we can get traffic every single month that's coming in. We also write for skimmability. So regular blog posts don't actually, or people that write regular content, they don't write what's called skimmable content, or what we define as skimmable content, which is when you go to a blog post, you don't actually just start at the top and read the entire thing. What you do is you check out the very top of the article, you figure out the title, then maybe you look at the subheadlines, maybe you read one piece of content inside of that subheadline, and you're making a decision between 15 to 30 seconds as to whether or not you would actually go back to the very top and read the entire article. So we want to make sure that the content is skimmable. So there's all of these little subheadings that are inside of our content, and that allows for the reader to be able to know exactly whether or not this article is something that they want to read. And then they'll make that decision after 30 seconds to go back and read it. And if you just have massive blocks of text, you will not have the proper time on site because no one can actually skim that article effectively, unfortunately. So keyword research, we use Ahrefs, that's the paid version. And for anyone that is interested in the non-paid version, we had mentioned one that was free. Honestly, we've used it a little bit, but since we have a paid version using Ahrefs, we don't use the other version, but totally up to you guys. I believe that's on module 2 or 3 to identify the free version of Ahrefs. And then search intent. So like we're really looking for a generalized customer avatar. We write for that avatar. So we write for owners of remote teams, remote workers, managers, people who outsource other workers, and freelancers who want to become more productive. When we actually boil down our avatars, we have 3 separate avatars. We have Agency Adam, which are basically agencies. We have BPO Bobby, which are business process outsourcing companies. And then we have the entrepreneurs, so the individuals that just hire a virtual assistant. All 3 of those separate categories they have different revenue types and they have different needs. So we write pieces of content dependent upon their needs. And then we're going right into like things for strategies for managing remote teams as an example. This is an example of something that we would want to rank for. I think we actually are ranking #1 for this. So search volume is 250, which you wouldn't think is that high. However, that is the type of customer that we're looking for. So we'd much rather go after these guys than after someone who has 2,500 searches, but is about how to hire a virtual assistant as an example, because that's more broad and not specific to getting a trial of Time Doctor up and running. yeah, you can see that we're number 1, which is awesome. So content optimization. All that we do is we literally put the keyword in the title tag. We have it in the URL. So that's actually really important. You don't want to have really long URLs that don't really say anything. Just put your keyword in there. It's totally fine. It works. Alt text of the images, meta description, at least using that main keyword once or twice in the body of the post, having it in an H1 tag, and having it in one other header tag. And that's it. That's actually not, that's all the optimization that we do. We also do LSI keywords, which are latent semantic indexing. Those keywords are keywords that are statistically connected to the main keyword. So quick story, I used to do SEO way back in the day. This doesn't work anymore, but one of the LSI keywords for a local SEO client that I was trying to get, it was like, you know, Toronto carpenters as an example. One of the LSI keywords was actually the top competitor's phone number. And so I put the phone number actually in a blog post and ended up jumping through the SERPs just because Google saw that as a good indicator that we knew what we were talking about. So we implement LSI keywords quite a bit. It's really important to be able to do that and make sure that you are throwing those into your blog posts as well. Also, it can take you in other directions because those LSI keywords can actually have their own search volume. So sometimes when you throw in an LSI keyword, you actually end up ranking for, let's say, managing virtual teams, but then managing remote teams. And if you threw that in as an LSI keyword, you'd end up getting both. So take a look at that. There's tons of, just type in LSI keyword tool into Google and you'll find a whole bunch that are free. LSI graph, there's an example. Optimizing for mobile. Obviously, our blog is optimized for mobile. If you are not optimized for mobile, you're probably not going to succeed. We also do some internal linking on a lot of our articles. It really depends on the context. So if it's something that we really want to rank, then maybe we use a little bit of our internal link juice, but it all depends on the situation. And then we have our blog publishing checklist, which is actually another process doc right here, which probably I won't be able to give to you guys, unfortunately. But generally, it is just what we had reviewed up top, what we put in the article. So you can literally put together your own list. Let me actually just see if I can actually show that to you guys right now. Yeah, so that's basically all of the different things that we do. So every time that we write a blog post, we literally have different keywords, and we literally go through that checklist every single time. Again, having it built as a process inside of the business is super important. All right, let's go back. Content promotion. So all of that stuff was just writing the blog post, which is on-page optimization. Now we're going into the promotion side, which is off-page optimization, basically getting backlinks back to our website. So we have a bunch of different strategies that we implement. We use Ahrefs Content Explorer to be able to find link opportunities. We do outreach. We use BuzzStream to be able to make sure that we do our email outreach and keep all of our connections properly set up. BuzzStream is a fantastic tool. It's pretty expensive, but again, we haven't actually found anything free that probably can do a better job than BuzzStream at this point. If you have any type of CRM that can also work, like HubSpot or Salesforce, if you really want to get super expensive, but BuzzStream is way cheaper than Salesforce. Maybe not as cheap as HubSpot, but I'm not too sure. So here's an example of an email template that we would send out. We know that once we show the internet this email template, obviously it is going to get copied a whole bunch. Don't copy this email template. Use it as an example of what you should be writing for yourself, because we're constantly iterating. So we usually change our email templates every quarter, and we're constantly split testing those email templates. So it's really important that you do the same thing. And then we also have a follow-up sequence. So, we want to be able to make sure that's just the initial follow-up sequence, but then each linker kind of takes their own creative direction. And then we learn from that every single quarter to be able to build better sequences into our outreach campaigns. We also have different communities. So we'll post on Quora. We might link back to them. We'll be posting on Reddit. Here are some examples of subreddits that we actually post on. You should set up some subreddits as well for what your particular niche is. Social media, we obviously throw it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Sometimes we'll do Reddit, sometimes we won't, depending upon the situation. We edit on Canva. We have a social media sharing tool called Buffer that we use, which is pretty awesome. I don't actually know what missing letter is, but anyways, I'm not the person that's responsible for these processes. Other promotion channels. So we have podcasts. We do Haro, which is help a reporter out, and we're constantly responding to those things. Just as an example, podcasts, I mean, I do 6 to 7 of those per week, and we have them batched. And there's an entire separate process guide specifically for how we execute on that. So they all kind of add into getting cumulative backlinks back to the website. Then we also do site audits on a regular basis. Again, going back to the off page, every linker really needs to understand what those site audits are about and how we do them. And we have a lot of information on ranking for featured snippets, which is what we call the 0 spot. So the 0 spot is literally, if you type a question into Google, usually now you'll get the direct answer, which is a snippet from a blog post that someone has written, and then you'll be able to click through and get access to that, and then you'll have the regular SERP results. So sometimes we'll be 7th, 8th spot in the SERPs, but because we've written a specific answer to that question, we end up getting 7th spot and the 0 spot, which is awesome. Ideally, you'd want 1st spot and the 0 spot, so you can just block out everybody else, but it doesn't always happen that way. And it's kind of weird, like the 0 spot is relatively new, so it's really up to, no one's really cracked it yet, so we'll see how that goes. But for us, we've been doing a lot of that testing, and it seems to be working well for us. We also do content pruning, which is something that is a little bit more advanced, but in essence what we do is we remove outdated content and then we 404 it, which basically means redirect it permanently to another URL. And what that ends up doing is taking the link juice that you had on those blog posts and moving them to the blog post that you really want to promote. So let's say I had 2 articles on managing remote teams and building remote teams. And let's say building remote teams was 2nd spot and managing remote teams was 21st spot. And we knew that we weren't really getting any meaningful traffic from that lesser blog post. We would 404 it and we would redirect all of those links and that page directly to the page that was already 3rd spot or 2nd spot. And then we'd raise up through the SERPs. So it's kind of counterintuitive. We were initially quite scared about pruning our content, but we've now recognized that pruning content is absolutely the best thing that you could possibly do to be able to boost your SERP rankings. It's very cool. Updating posts, obviously, if we're going to prune some content, then what we'll also do is update posts. A lot of the times we might just write another paragraph or another 500 words on an LSI keyword as an example that we think we're missing, and that will usually post us up. So all of those things you can kind of try. We usually do those audits about once every 6 months to just kind of see what's up, and a little bit of internal linking. We also have YouTube optimization, which we've recently started, and there's a document right there. Again, I'm not going to show you that. I'm probably going to put that in another video, but that is the general kind of base level document that people work from. There's about 20 or 30 other process documents that the SEO team has, but that's just the general point that you start from, and people are tested on this before they can actually become a full-time linker, so that they know what our procedures are and how we build content. So that was that video. I hope that was useful. You can check out this document right down below. And if you have any other questions, please just put them in the comments. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you really like this video, why don't you subscribe to this YouTube channel? We do stuff like this every single week. So be really stoked to have you. I think we have a lot of fantastic content on how to build and scale remote teams just like this. But I'll see you in the next module.